Good afternoon. I'm Lorna Wagner. I'm the Programme Manager for Maritime UK Solent. And in this podcast, we're going to be talking about knowledge transfer partnerships and how local maritime businesses can engage with universities. So I'm delighted to say we're in Portchester this afternoon with Adrian. Adrian, could you introduce yourself and tell us about your business, please?
Certainly. I'm Adrian Went. I'm the Managing Director of Griffon Hoverwork. We're a small engineering company that develops, designs, manufactures and supports hovercraft. And we primarily export those all around the world. They're in 43 countries around the world. But you'll probably see them closer to home. The two that run to and from the Isle of Wight from South Sea are built by us as well and operated by our sister company, Hover Travel.
Lovely, thank you. So, as I said, this afternoon we're talking about knowledge transfer partnerships. Now, Griffon have experience of how these work. Can you tell from your perspective, tell us about them?
Yeah, we're a relatively newcomer to it, so we've just won the opportunity to work with the University of Southampton on a management knowledge transfer partnership. So we've known about knowledge transfer partnerships for a very, very long time. And typically, and I think everybody assumes that a knowledge transfer partnership is between business and a university and will be focused on some sort of engineering innovation, some developing science, for example. And we always aspire to work with one of the universities in the area, and we've got a good relationship with a number of the universities. But in the past, where we had specific projects for customers that had a set lead time on them, usually a relatively short lead time, actually a knowledge transfer partnership in a technical area wouldn't have worked because you need a project that will span over a number of years, and it really is about developing a new innovation. And so, for example, at one stage, I think probably about 8 years ago, we were developing a very deep skirt on a hovercraft so that it would go over a 3-metre high ice ridge off the North Alaskan shelf. And we were doing that for one of the very big oil primes. And I thought, here's an opportunity. It's a bit of an innovative piece of work. Potentially, we could work with the University of Southampton. And in particular, there was some work that we needed doing by the sort of acoustic and aeronautical engineering areas. But when it came down to it, we couldn't fit a knowledge transfer partnership into the window of time which we were permitted by the end customer. And so it was quite frustrating from that perspective. But on this occasion, we're not working with the university on the engineering side of the road. We're on the other side of the road in Southampton working with the business school, because we're actually developing a new stream of business for ourselves, which will require a cultural change in a number of the guys in the organisation. It will require them to adapt from being product development engineers into being consulting engineers. So there's quite a big cultural change aspect that's part of the project we're undertaking. And also, we then have to explore how we're going to enter the market and actually develop that line of business almost as a small sub-business of what we're up to at the moment. We've got the understanding, I think we've got the skills, but it is the way of approaching this piece of business. And so it's development of really quite a new area and a new way of doing business for Griffon Hoverwork, who primarily has been a designer and manufacturer in the past.
So for this particular project that we're involved with, it's a maritime one, but fundamentally the principle appears to be it's an opportunity for you to bring in expertise and research to support a new way of thinking.
Yes.
And it's that injection of new ideas and fresh approach, I guess.
Yeah. So I think it's the knowledge transfer partnerships have been around for a very long time, and it's it's we discussed it with the university and the Innovate advisors all the way through to understand how it worked, and it's quite an innovative way of getting a little bit of government support for an emerging project, and the sort of principle around it is that the university employ an associate, so a rising star from their organisation, with an expertise in the or not necessarily a fully developed expertise, but potential in the field which you are working on to develop. And so that could well be a technical solution, and I'm sure it's used in the pharmaceutical sector as well, for example. But it could well be a sort of green engineering type thing. But in our case, we'll be looking for a sort of MBA type student, from the business area of the university, because we're looking for an expert who has an understanding of market entry, of launching into a new market on the way through. So the core of this is employing this individual, and he will become an employee of the university. But on the way through, you then work in essence with that guy emulating a new employee a new and developing employee in your organisation, and with the aspiration that he will probably join your organisation ultimately and lead that line of business or that new development in the future. Not necessarily always the case, but if you approach it with that attitude, then you're going in the right direction. But the fact that this guy is also or an employee of the university means you have all the resources of the university available to you. Yeah? And you will have selected that university because of its expertise in the field that you're looking at. So we're working with Southampton University Business School in this, but equally, it could be another one of the universities within the region because of their particular focus on this particular technical area or this particular skill set, and that's where you're going to get the most input to your business. One of the things that sort of immediately comes up from a commercial aspect is, so who owns this knowledge, this know-how, this intellectual property, or whatever it is you're developing, or in our case, it will be a bit of market understanding apart from anything else. And actually, it's a tried and tested model, and the intellectual property is owned by the business. What the university want is to be able to test and develop their academic model behind this, and actually develop the individual as far as possible as well. So that individual might, as part of this, be working on a PhD as well. It's not necessary, or some other academic award. It's not essential to a part of it, but actually that's quite useful to a business that's getting involved in a knowledge transfer partnership, to imagine that being. So this guy is from one aspect is going to be helping us develop this aspect of our business, this technology, but on the other side, he will be adding to the knowledge base of the university, and really importantly, very much developing his own personal skills and acumen as well. So everyone's a winner, effectively.
Which was exactly the words that were in my tripping off the end of my tongue. Yes. Everyone wins. The university wins by the closer working with industry and understanding having a better understanding of what's happening at the sharp end. The individual, the associate, wins because they have the link with industry. They're developing their employability skills, and let's hope that they become a really important part of the team with the organisation. And the business wins because not only do they have this person that's not necessarily going to be a young person either, is it? It could be someone that's at any stage of their training that he or she gets involved with the business, gets excited about the business, doesn't want to go anywhere else.
Yes.
So you're almost getting an extended period of internship or work experience. You've got, and it's all those, the employability skills that come with it as well, of understanding about being with a team.
And there's a number of things that the relationship expects of the business on the way through. And so this associate who's working for you in the knowledge transfer partnership has a sort of privileged place in the whole organisation. So they expect the associate to have pretty regular contact with the very senior part of the organisation. And so within our project, certainly he will work very closely, or he or she will work very closely with my engineering director, and will have regular contact with me as well. So from their own development, they get a real exposure right across the business. And it will bring in commercial understanding, as well as, if your transfer partnership is about a technical aspect, for example, as well as the development of the scientific knowledge that's the focus of the thing as well. Talking to some of the academics that we'll be working with in the future, they were just describing to me a knowledge transfer partnership which they'd been through relatively recently, in which they'd lost their associate, who he'd found another job quite close to the end of the project. Fortunately, it was close enough to the end of the project such that it could continue using the input from the academics that were around. But you can sort of see as well that if you've got someone who's clever enough to develop this technology, or to help you with this new market stream, or whatever it is, if you then give him 2 years of industry experience, he becomes a very, very saleable product. Yeah? Yes. And so one of their piece of advice to us was to really work with the associate and build his confidence, or build the relationship between the business and the associate, so that they could really see a pathway through into your business. Now, for us as a small business, if we've developed someone who can also be employed by Formula One, or by some big aerospace giant or whatever, then we're not going to compete on salaries, but we have to compete on the innovation, the spirit, of working in a small and innovative business. And whilst it wasn't in a knowledge transfer partnership context, we've been able to do that with a lot of our really clever graduates that work for us in the past, by making sure that they really enjoy the innovation they're involved in, and actually touching on some of the stuff that we just talked about there, and because they feel they can touch the sides within the business. And you could be working within a business that's got a really fantastic, huge brand name, global brand name, but you will be one small cog within that organisation. Whereas if you come and work with us, you can see the impact of of what you're doing for the business almost straight away. You can see the commercial impact. You can see the customer impact, you can see the impact on your colleagues around you, that you're bringing something special to the organisation as well. And so we aspire to sort of hang on to our people on that basis.
You keep saying things that I'm just about to say, so that's great. We'll keep working together. That sense of belonging for someone who's at the start of their career as well, the sense of impact in what they're doing, is a wonderful gift to give to someone who's studying. You talked about touching the sides and the size of the business.
Yes.
I was going to say, what sort of businesses would benefit from this? Is it the smaller ones with the smaller teams, or is it any sort of business that should be looking? This is a specifically maritime focused KTP, and it's backed up by not just the University of Southampton, but Solent University, Portsmouth University, and the University of Winchester as well. So that kind of collective support, research, knowledge base around it is something really special.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think there's any problem about what sort of business it is or what size of business it is. I think there is a tremendous area of development within maritime at the moment, and so it really lends itself to partnerships with academic institutions in any shape or form. But the knowledge transfer partnership is particularly adept for the sort of things that we're talking about at the moment, which are not delivering a design for a customer in 6 months' time or whatever else. These are long-term strategic projects, working out how the lightweight fast craft of the future will be powered. Yes, and this sort of technical challenge. And I think this really fits into using understanding that comes straight from academia, the cutting edge developed piece, and embedding that into the real life in industry. We've got a number of ways in which we've worked with the universities, and so we just have a sponsorship with Bournemouth University, where we've got a young man doing some software engineering for us, developing a simulator. And I think that probably could have been done as a knowledge transfer partnership as well. It just so happened that sponsoring a PhD was more applicable in that particular situation, but I think that would have worked extremely well as well. I think probably it will go on longer than a KTP will normally expect to be, but I think that sort of thing would really work well. But certainly some of the green technology, hydrogen fuel cells, some of the innovative fuel solutions would really work well with the universities, and I think probably the same as we've ended up working with the School of Business, or business school, sorry, I should say, at the University of Southampton, is slightly unusual as well. I think, traditionally, people would expect Griffon Hoverwork to be aligned with Department of Ship Science or Aeronautical Engineering or Aeronautics and Astronautics at Southampton. And we've got a lot of guys within the business. We've got 4 or 5 alumni from Southampton in the business, including myself and my engineering director. And so you think that's where we went to first, but actually, we'd done a little bit of work with the business school. We'd supported the business school by on a couple of their MBA courses, providing a challenge for the students. And it's quite difficult in that setting where you're trying to. It was a real life challenge, but of course the students are just doing that as an assignment over a period of a couple of months, and getting them to really understand the context of the business is quite difficult in that period of time. And so that was what led us into thinking, actually, how do we get a greater integration with the department? And so. And really get the value out of these bright young people, and the knowledge transfer partnership was a quite obvious route. And so I think for other businesses, I would recommend trying to develop just a relationship with the university, see if you can partner with some lower level problems, and then that will create the discussion that might lead you into a fully blown knowledge transfer partnership in the future.
Perfect, thank you. So once you've got an associate on board, Adrian, is this someone who comes and works with you full time? Do they spend part of their week here, part of their week at the university? Sort of practically, how does it play out?
Absolutely. Well, typically they are employed by the university, but they work for the business. And so you'd expect them to work in whatever context the business works in. And we, over the last couple of years at Griffon Hoverwork, have become a bit of a hybrid organisation. Obviously, the guys welding hovercraft together can't really work from home out there in the workshop, just the other side of this wall. But all of our office-based people now have now have a hybrid way of working. And so that's our associate will join that team. Now, that does mean there's a bit of a challenge to start with, because to get someone into the sort of ethos of Griffon Hoverwork, to get to understand the people who he works closely with, is a bit of a challenge. Now, thankfully, we've got enough office space for him to be able to share some time with the guys he'll be working with when he first touches down. I keep saying he, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a he in the slightest. And so we will spend time with our associate and based in one of our small office spaces, either in Southampton or Portsmouth to start with. We've said that, theoretically someone could work from elsewhere in the country, but we've said actually quite a lot of this work will require some face-to-face discussion and thinking and whatever else. And so we prefer our associate to be based somewhere in the area and to be able to travel between our two sites in Southampton and in Portsmouth, and probably travel to see some of our customers around the world as well during that time. And so I think it would be quite exciting for whoever joins to do that job.
And is the associate placed with you, or are you involved in, it's recruitment in inverted commas really, are you involved in the selection process as to who the best fit is going to be for your organisation?
Absolutely. We're very much part of, so formally there will be an employee of the University of Southampton, and so they're recruited on the Southampton University recruitment system. And the job for our knowledge transfer partnership is live at the moment. If anybody's out there and wants to apply, please look on the Southampton University University of Southampton website. We're very much involved in the selection process. I've got a feeling it might be quite a challenging process. Talking to the academics, they said the last one that they put together, they had over 300 applicants, and so I think it might be quite a challenging down select at this stage in the game. But hopefully, we're looking for someone we're really quite inspiring.
And how long are you expecting that relationship to exist for? Are you expecting it to be for a year, for 18 months? What's your
so the knowledge transfer partnership is over 2 years.
Right.
But as I say, I expect this to develop a brand new line of work for us. And so in the perfect world, effectively, our associate will become a manager of this business stream in the future.
Fantastic. So for other businesses that are based in the Solent who want to find out more about this, I would encourage you to come and join us at the University of Southampton on the 3rd of March. It's next Friday afternoon. Come and meet representatives from all 4 of those universities. Come and meet with the other businesses that come in to find out about it. We've got academics joining that session as well, and Adrian's also joining us as a speaker at that event. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Lorna.